Hello, hello. I think we're live right now. So welcome everyone. My name is Kasia, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our second Plug-in Biz Talk event. And today we're gonna talk about a fascinating topic with three fascinating people. So I'm already super excited about it. We're gonna talk about life hacking and how to embrace nomad lifestyle with a successful business. So I really hope you're already tuning in. And just a few organization questions or topics. If you have any question to our speakers, please write them in the chat and our team will pass them to us. So we can pass them to the speakers. So this is the first one and the only one actually. And before we start, I would want to just say a few words about Plug-in for those of you who do not know our organization. So Plug-in is an international NGO who helps share Polish innovation and technologies abroad and communicate Polish people or people of Polish origin among them. And one of our groups, or like one of the things that we embrace, is especially a nomad lifestyle. So this is why we are here today. And this is why we're going to talk to three amazing people. And now I'll ask them kindly to present themselves. We'll start with Ada. Hi, Ada. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. Hi, everybody. Thank you for invitation. It's really lovely to be here and to talk with all of you. So I'm Ada. I'm currently based in Barcelona, but in the past years, I've been living in Thailand and in Australia, where I worked as a producer, as a production manager. And a few years ago, I started my own digital business. It's a marketing agency. We're working with the governments, with the destinations. We're helping them to promote the locations to the film industry worldwide.
Thanks, Ada. So now maybe Kamil, please, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Hi everybody, I'm Kamil. What I do lots of stuff basically because I'm doing stuff for 20 years already. And I started as a communications expert. I've been managing people and let's say expectations of big companies for years, having my own agency. And I sold it, and I went, I got hired by a corporation, and after 10 years I stopped it. I stopped being a director in the corporation. I started my own, let's say, adventure, and I'm still on it, trying to embrace chaos. I have 4 kids, so the chaos is like my middle name, let's say. And while traveling around the world, I'm now based in Poland. First time for 4 years, and trying to live through winter, through Warsaw winter, which is not very easy for us all, but we are waiting for the borders to open and to catch some sun very soon.
Okay, awesome. And the last one, Jillian, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Good evening and good afternoon from Singapore. My name is Julian. Last 3 years, as you may already know, I spent in Australia, where I decided to move to study diploma of business. And at the same time, I decided to create my own freelance business to help small business owners with SEO and web design. During this time, those 3 years, I had the chance to meet plenty of wonderful people who helped me with running my business, who gave me plenty of inspiration. Currently, I'm in Singapore because I want to reunite with my fiance who lives in Malaysia, and I'm just waiting for the borders to be opened.
Okay, so as you can see, like we have 3 very interesting and diverse profiles and interesting stories. So I'm really looking forward to listening and hearing all of this. The first part, or like the first round table that we wanted to have, is about nomad lifestyle, or like the origins, the beginning, genesis. How did it all start? So the first question we have is, like, early in your careers, did you think about having a nomad lifestyle? Like, was it always a dream of yours? Maybe let's start with Kamil.
Well, the short answer is yes. It's always been a dream of mine. I started early, let's say, when I was 18, 19. I started with travel. Then I worked a little, then travel again, then worked a little and travel again. And I was always looking at work. Well, maybe not always, but most of the time I was looking at work as a mean to travel and mean to actually have adventures and live my life, more than like, I don't know, a job for itself or for prestige or whatever. So it started very early, and the let's say the last chunk of travel, which was like almost 4 years, and was like the most intense one in my life, started when my third child, who's a daughter, was born, and she was 3 months old when we went for 1 month to Thailand and never came back, to be honest. So it just went for 4 years. So that's it. So it's possible.
Awesome. That's interesting. What about you, Julian?
Same as Camila, I always wanted to travel and to do interesting work at the same time. I think that like this idea was like really steady and strong in my mind before I moved to Australia. And once I started to live in Australia, I knew that this is definitely what I wanted what I want to do. And especially I wanted to stay in some places for longer than a month, same as Camila. I didn't want to just stay at a hotel, but I wanted to also explore the city or the places where I stay for a little bit longer and to see how the local lifestyle looks like. So.
Okay, and how about you, Ada?
Well, I want to be very different. So I think that from the very early, like when I was choosing my profession, even when I was going, to the university, I was thinking what job will allow me to live abroad, to live everywhere and to do this everywhere. And what will be more fun to do and more rewarding at the same time. And that's why I decided to become a filmmaker, because I thought, okay, I can be filmmaker everywhere in the world, and I can really travel for filming or live somewhere. And like I finished my studies, and this was always my goal in my goal to go somewhere, to move somewhere else, to try different things. I didn't know where and when, but I was just looking for opportunities like wherever and whenever.
This is great. Actually, you already kind of answered my second question, which was it like a more decision, or it was a process and you were always like heading in this direction? So I can hear that the three of you were actually early on decided to live this kind of lifestyle. So my question would be rather, was there a specific moment or something that triggered like, okay, this is the moment when I'm going to start traveling or really embrace fully this kind of lifestyle? Ada, I can see that your mic is still on, so please go on.
Yeah, well, I think I was waiting for the opportunity. I was actually creating some other things, and then it just came. I went to one month to Thailand. Seems like Thailand is this place where my ideas are born. After 1 month I got back and I was like, wow, it was so great. I really would like to stay there longer. And 1 month later, I sold everything. I rented an apartment and I was on the airplane to Thailand to live there. I didn't know for how long. I was in my head, like I'm very like an organized person. So I was planning, okay, I'm giving myself 6 months. If it works, it works. If not, I can always go back to where I was before. And till now, I didn't come back to Poland, and I stayed.
Okay, so fully embraced. What about you, Kamil?
Oh, well, for me, it was a bit different. I mean, well, since I'm traveling with the family, it's a different perspective. Let's say a different story, because I have to have in mind more people. Let's say 5 more people, to be precise. So it was different. What we want to do, it was a collective decision with my wife Dorota, and we wanted to actually have a different something in our life, but we didn't really know what. I mean, we wanted to have a different lifestyle, but our paths that we had in Poland, in Warsaw that time, weren't really leading to anything different. It was very predictable, and career paths, everything, climbing up or sideways or whatever, having businesses, trying startups, but it was always time consuming. We couldn't really manage to be with our kids. And so we actually wanted to have a different lifestyle, but not only that, we wanted to have money to finance it, and we wanted to have time. So it sounds really crazy to have it all, and we are still trying to actually solve this puzzle, how to make it happen, and how to actually be able to spend quality time with kids, let's say, and with each other, at the same time to have enough money to actually finance our ideas and wandering around the world and visiting places. And so the key, let's say, the key thing, that the key trigger that made us actually leave Poland for a long time was actually to find out if it's even possible, if there is something waiting for us like that, a change of lifestyle, a different place, I don't know, people, whatever. And it's actually happening. So it's the end is happy in this story.
Okay, so everyone, Camille already touched a little bit on the topic we're gonna talk about a little bit later, which is lifestyle and business, because this is something that interests us in particular. But let's hear Julian first about his trigger. How did it start?
Yeah, so in my case, it all started when I was at uni. I was a member of a student association which helps international students coming back at my uni, something like Erasmus Student Network, which some of you may know, but this one was financed by Prince of Luxembourg. So thanks to this, I could travel across Europe for free for a few years, like visit different unis and participate in interesting projects, and while working remotely in various places. And I was like, wow, this is something what I would really like to do. And at the same time, at the back of my head, I had an idea of moving to Australia. Like since I was 5, I always wanted to see the kangaroos live and so on. And I always knew the same as Camel, that even if I fail, I always can go back home and start all over again. That's like, and if I don't try, I will always have this idea at the back of my head that I haven't tried. So one day in August, I just applied for a uni there, and then 4 months later, I was packing my suitcases to go to Melbourne.
Okay, everyone. So I think this is the first big insight today is test and try. And if you fall, you can always go back. Very, very good advice. And so you talked a little bit about your first adventures, and I wanted to ask if there are things, for example, okay, you plan, I'm going to travel the world, this is going to be my lifestyle, and then you go to this first trip or like first big adventure. And was there something that you haven't actually expect or you did not anticipate and surprise you and like, okay, this is the lifestyle and I didn't think about, what would this be? Julian.
So yeah, so even if when I moved to Australia, I knew that like my previous skills from Europe may not mean may not mean nothing in Australia, but had this like aspiration that I'll get a job related to marketing and I'll be able to continue it easily. But then I had to face the reality that I'm on a student visa, which gives me like limited number of hours, and there are like almost 1 million people on student visa as me, same as me, and they have similar qualifications. And that's why I decided that okay, maybe it would be better if I try to do something on my own. And when in the meantime, I met also plenty of small business owners, and I could see that like that they have great business skills, but marketing is not their strong side. So that was like one of the triggers, and that's how I was able to turn like those doubts into my own business.
Okay, Ada.
Yeah, well, so I think like in terms of doubts, like I still have it sometimes. There are many challenges that come with a nomad life. It's like where to register my company and where to pay taxes, how to get insurance, struggling with visas. I lived in Australia as well. I stayed there for 1 year. I was hired by a company there. And then it came time when my visa was ending and I had to extend it or leave. And it was, you know, like the same when I did in Asia. There is always like, you don't realize when you're in Europe, or you can just go to another country, start a new business, as me right now in Barcelona, and it just comes like that. No, when you're in a kind of more exotic, further places, those are real challenges, and you need to really think, like, you need to be ready for them, and it will be way more work. It's not only, you know, to start your company, but to start your company in a foreign country with no, you know, you're building your network, but it all comes with time. So it's all great, but there are many things that you don't think about living in Poland or in Europe.
Okay, Camille, what is your take on this?
So the biggest surprise, well, everything was a bit a surprise, to be honest, because we never did that before. But the biggest surprise, there were a few. The first thing that came to my mind was that how physically demanding and psychologically demanding this kind of lifestyle with kids was. I mean, going to a very hot and humid place and carrying all the well, we had only one big backpack at the beginning and a few smaller ones, but still, you know, embracing travel with kids, and we were trying to be backpackers back then, and trying to move from place to place, following our like intuition and whatever, and it was in a way great because we experienced lots of adventures and surprises, and met loads of nice people, but also in a way we kind of realized that not all the dreams from like our 20s were actually possible to be realized when traveling in a bigger bunch. Like, for instance, when we took a tuk-tuk, we rented a tuk-tuk in Sri Lanka for 3 weeks, and we wanted to travel all over Sri Lanka with the tuk-tuk. It actually proved to be very tiresome because it only went 40 kilometers per hour, and it was really hard to drive. So there is a lot of experiences like that in our travels. Besides that, it was just the usual, let's say, management of chaos and management of unexpected things. And this actually wasn't unexpected, as let's say one of my job traits was managing crisis. So it wasn't anything really demanding, but the physical work was really what surprised me the most.
Okay, we have 2 follow-up questions from the audience to start with. And it looks like all of you at some point were in Asia to travel. And a viewer said, Asia is a fascinating place to go and never come back. Indonesia and Thailand have recently become inundated by digital nomads. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think it is a good place, or it will turn into a generic expat catering place? What do you think? Do nomads change a little bit the landscape of these places, or they're adding to it a little bit?
Well, I can say something about it. I lived it for 2 years in Thailand, and I was working as a producer back then. So I was also traveling for work to pretty much across the Pacific Rim, and staying in the places for 1 month, 2 months. I think it all depends on where you go, because where you go to, if you go to Bali, that's true. It's pretty much like a coast of Australia. It's full of foreigners. It's full of Australian shops. It's basically a Western culture in the tropical climate. But on the other hand, why people are choosing, you know, that or few other islands in Indonesia or in Thailand, because to become a digital nomad, you need to be digital. And you need a good connection, you need good internet, you need, you know, the air condition to be able to work a few hours a day. And in some of the places, Asia, it's really great, it's really cheap. So I totally recommend it to everybody. It's a great starting point, or even, you know, to stay for life, because it's really cheap. The food is amazing, people are great. But you need to be wise what place you choose. If you're not only a traveler, but you're a digital nomad, you're working. So I think it's a great choice. Depends where you go. There are places that are more popular and less popular, but they are popular for a reason.
So I have, for example, for a question to Camille, and maybe then Julian can respond as well. When you were going on your trip, were you looking for both a little bit of like a trip to a different place and a little bit of digital comfort that you had before? How was it for you?
Well, I found out that it's necessary to actually have some digital comfort from time to time. And I've been looking for it in different places. In some places it was impossible to find it, but in some places it was great. For instance, in Kuala Lumpur, I found out that I can have a great street food connected with a nice digital safe haven in an apartment on the 30th floor. And we also wanted that, yes. So I was on one hand we wanted adventure, we wanted to travel, the road and experience meeting people and the whole lot. Not being a tourist, well, we were always a tourist, but let's say not being a TUI tourist or whatever, a big company tourist. But on the other hand, it was tiresome. So we not only we needed to connect and to do some stuff and do some jobs, but we also just wanted to rest from time to time.
Julian?
Yes, I definitely agree with Camille. Like in my case, it's also the matter of time zone. So that's why I also stay in Southeast Asia, and because plenty of my clients are from Australia, so there's this like 3 hours time zone gap, which I can allow myself to wake up every day at 6 in the morning. But for example, to work for Australian customers from Europe or from America, it would be kind of hard because I would have to just either spend midnights till early mornings just to be able to communicate with them. And at the same time, yes, the travels to Southeast Asia are amazing because at the same time you have plenty of opportunities to do networking, plenty of great and amazing food, and there are plenty of places like Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, where you don't have to worry about the internet connection, but always it's good to have just in case mobile card with huge data plan, just in case if the internet is down and you still need to continue to do your work.
Okay, so we touched a little bit on inconveniences. So my question is, from a little bit different perspective, are there things that you had to let go because of this new nomad lifestyle? Camille?
Well, comfort, obviously, comfort for and safety, like the feeling that every month you have the same, let's say, salary or the same conditions of living, and I think that basically the biggest thing, like the biggest challenge for me was to actually embrace the chaos and like understand or like internalize that this will not be solvable. I mean that life will make different kinds of challenges every day, and it's that planning is always futile, basically, or maybe in some broad spectrum it was possible in the long term, but like short-term planning while backpacking with kids is probably crazy. Now I know, but I struggled. I wanted to make it happen. So you can say that when we started traveling, we lost the planning capabilities, and that the planning was futile. And the other thing was obviously the comfort and safety of repeatedness of a lifestyle.
Okay, that's interesting. How about you, Ada?
Well, I agree. I agree that you lose this comfort, but it also depends on how much you want to let go. Because, for example, 2 years ago, I decided I was traveling pretty much all year long, and I let go my apartment. I had a storage in Barcelona, and it was my hub where I was coming back, repacking, getting some Airbnb for a few weeks, and going to another place. And it was my decision. I was feeling a fully digital nomad. I was, always on the go, discovering different places, working pretty much all the time. I didn't have any vacation that time. And it was tiring. It was extremely tiring. I don't regret, because it was an amazing time when I met many people. I discovered many places, but I was working all the time. So and then I decided, okay, it's not something that I want to let go anymore. Now I want to have a base, have a hub, have my apartment where I always come back. And then I go and travel, and I still feel a digital nomad, because I can go anytime. I can buy a ticket for tomorrow and fly somewhere for 1 month, and work from there. But I can always come back, and I know that I have a stable base waiting for me.
Okay, Julian.
Yeah, so definitely agree with this, what Camila and Ada said, and also from my own side, that it's not like a 9-to-5 job, that you need to be sometimes more flexible, that's especially if you have clients in a different time zone, that you need to adjust to them. And very often, like it's like a little bit, first year was a little bit hard for me, that I have to realize that I'm the captain, and I need to just develop everything on my own. So this was like a fact which I had to realize very quickly, especially during the summer in Europe and winter in Australia, where I could see that all of my friends and colleagues are having amazing time in Spain and Greece, and I'm just sitting while working on projects while it's 0 degrees outside, and I have to just deliver things on time.
Okay. Don't you have another thing that is a little bit more like physical, practical? I don't know. You miss your favorite cereal or your favorite products that are not accessible elsewhere, or something like this. Don't you have like a?
Well, it's if I remember something that we packed because when we left, we left our big flat in Warsaw. We rented it out, so we had to empty it, and emptying was a process, but it was a very short process, because we also only had 2 weeks. So we sold most of the stuff, like for bargain prices, and the rest we packed into 2 different sellers. And when we came back, and obviously there were lots of great stuff, lots of great items that we loved, and we handpicked buying them and stuff. And when we came back, we didn't really remember what's in the basement. And every time we went there, it was a surprise for the kids. Oh wow, look this book, and look this. I maybe remember this toy. So we left lots of stuff, and actually it's like, I would say it is somehow a blessing of traveling like that you actually learn to let go of stuff, of clutter, of different items. We're far from being zen with having no items, because it's impossible for us, but we learned to actually let go of lots of items. Well, it was quite easy for me, maybe a bit different for my partner, but she also learned that that actually while you actually forget what you have, it's very easy to let go of stuff.
Okay.
So we didn't really miss like any specific flavor of a drink or whatever.
Okay. Jillian, you want to say something?
No, like it's the same as Camille said. When I moved to Australia, at first maybe I had like a few weeks that I was a little bit homesick, or I missed some Polish flavors and tastes. But after I started to discover what Australia has to offer in case of food and products, I quickly forgot about it. And especially right now when I'm in Asia, it's totally new, different level. They have like so many different cuisines, especially here in Singapore, which is like a food hub and business hub at the same time. So even if like during the Christmas, I got a little bit homesick because I couldn't go back to Europe. So me and a group of my friends, we just went to a restaurant which served Polish Christmas Eve meals. So yeah, so from time to time, maybe I miss something, but most of the time, I just try to explore new tastes and flavors. In case of the lifestyle from Poland, I mean, I just miss like sometimes my friends and family. Just like calls on Zoom and Messenger are not the same as just being there in presence.
That's true. Ada, do you want to add something about the things that you missed?
Yeah, I just want to say that you need to let go being present and being with your family and friends wherever it is, because like one is Poland and another one is like if you change the locations, everywhere you are, you build a kind of a network, and you always need to let go of these people. And you always think like, yeah, I will be in touch, but you cannot be in touch with all the planet. So you need to let go the connections and the people you are very close to, and the same, you're not present in you're not like your family. You cannot come for Christmas, you cannot come for, there are baby born, there are new weddings, there are new celebrations, and you're not there, but you have many other things and many other benefits coming from the nomad life. So you need to choose and just let go of these feelings and find a balance.
Okay, so this balance is a very interesting word, because it helped me to transition directly to the second part of our meeting, where we will talk a little bit more about the business and professional lives, and how to blend it exactly with nomad lifestyle. So Ada, as you were saying right now, how do you blend nomad lifestyle and professional career? How do you feel it can this be balanced? Can we find equilibrium in this equation?
Yeah, well, as long as you start working as a freelancer, or you have a remote job that allows you to travel from your computer wherever you are, you just need the internet connection, I think that is quite easy. If you have a job that really requires you to be on the location at the office, then you have a problem. You can travel for a bit, then come back to work, but it's not a nomadic lifestyle. So I think that if you can work remotely, it's pretty easy.
Okay, but how was it for you? How do you feel that, how did you set it up, let's say?
Okay, so my story was, it was a kind of transformation. At the same time, I left Poland, I went to Thailand. In Thailand, I found a job as a producer. I was working there for a local company. And at the same time, I started freelancing online, doing the development for film shows and for movies. So I started, building my customers' database, like worldwide, still working on the job locally. Then I moved to Australia. I found another job as a producer, but I was still growing my network. I was growing as a freelancer. And then after all of these years, I decided, okay, actually, I don't need a job. I can really handle everything as a freelancer, working fully online on my own. So it was a kind of, growing, it was a transformation, and it just little by little changed. I also need to say that my jobs never been typical office jobs. Like when I worked in the film production, I was still traveling. I was all the time on the go. So I always kind of, was working from home and work in my own hours as much as I needed just to complete the projects. So it was step after step. And maybe also that's why it was easier for me to just, live working with people at any space and just move into the digital world.
Okay. Julian, can you relate? Was it similar for you?
Yes, it was a little bit similar at first. Like I had like some transition period that at first I was just working in the office, and then even still in Poland, I just started to work a little bit remotely for one company. And since I started to feel more and more confident, I just started to work remotely more and more. Then when I moved to Australia and I started to get more clients, I couldn't just work in their offices. So it was like a purely remote. And to make it even like it will sound strange, but like with my business, also COVID helped me a little bit, because like during the lockdown, I couldn't move too much, so I had to work remotely, and even I couldn't see my clients. So there were plenty of Zoom calls and Skype calls. So then I gained confidence that I can do it for like full time without being present in the same city or country with my clients. And right now, when I'm here in Singapore, it's like almost 4 or 5 months, and things work pretty well. But I needed also some time to learn and acknowledge that skill.
Camille, do you have a similar story, or I think it's a little bit different from what I recall?
You mean how did I set up my online business, or what was the question? I kind of
the question in general
lost.
was like,
Yeah.
how do you marry this nomad lifestyle and professional career?
Okay.
How did you set it up?
Sure. Well, at start, I just focused on not burning through my savings in 1 month. So we just wanted to have to have a bumper, let's say, to have a margin of not working for a while, and we managed to do it for 6 months, and obviously changed, let's say, the continuity of my career, but it's what I wanted to do. I really wanted to have a break, and then to actually move forward with the lifestyle, I try to focus and also have time to travel. And I didn't really want a situation that I travel and work 10 hours a day, because it wasn't for me. As I said before, we also wanted to have some time. So I just stopped, let's say, developing my business. I just focused on consulting, like let's say, to be honest, the high stake clients, and just to have enough cash to go on, yes, with the lifestyle. And I just knew that I felt, let's say, and believed, because it's also a belief, a matter of belief, that when I come back, or when I stop, or when I need to actually earn more and develop my business some more, I'm able to do that. So yeah, so basically the answer is that I focused on the jobs that made it possible for me to earn the most for the least time invested.
But just a follow-up question. So for the consulting, you kept on digging in the network that you developed in Poland, or there were like new opportunities that emerged while you were traveling? How did this happen?
Most of the time I had a network that I was digging through from Poland, but also there were different opportunities arising while traveling. That's why traveling is so awesome, especially if you open your heart to it, that you can meet very different people and get out of the bubble and actually do some completely different stuff. So apart from consulting and from doing my, let's say, core career jobs, I almost opened a school in Portugal. So there were different stories behind let's say, work, or looking for a different lifestyle. So lots of stuff is possible when you open yourself to the opportunities that actually come up when you travel.
We will definitely want to hear about the school in Portugal, but before that, we have a question from the audience, and I think Ada already touched on this a little bit. Do you think you need to be a freelancer, have your own company, or you can lead that kind of lifestyle when you're working remotely? I mean, I understand for someone else. What do you think? Is this kind of arrangement with your boss possible from your experience?
If I can say, I think that yes, it is possible. I actually started like that because so I worked in Thailand, and after I wanted to leave Thailand. I thought that I'm not growing there, and I told my boss, like, I have opportunity to go to Australia. I think I'm gonna go. And they're like, oh my God, oh no, you're leaving us. No, you can work remotely. I was like, really? But how? I couldn't imagine it at the beginning. But actually, we managed to create this workflow where I was still working for them part-time, remotely, 3 years after I left the country. So I think that even if you think that it's impossible, there are ways. You just need to rework, the structure of your job, like your responsibilities, your communication, and it's still possible.
Okay, do you have similar story, Kamil, maybe, that you happen to have this kind of situation?
Well, I think it's absolutely possible to work like that, even if you're not a freelancer. It depends on the company, on your boss, and I think now in the situation of COVID and everybody working from homes, it's getting easier and easier. So it's let's say a good side of the whole mess. And I did different projects online, let's say, and remotely. And the biggest issue was time zones for me, basically, because it was really hard to do stuff for if the client was in a completely different time zone, because managing life power is also very important when you have little time for sleep. And so yeah, that was the challenge for me in terms of doing stuff remotely. Now there are tools to do lots of it remotely. Obviously the digital stuff is like the easiest. It's probably, but now it's also, everything moved towards remote work. Even you can even have very successful psychotherapeutic sessions remotely, and it works. So I guess if you're not a construction worker, remote work is possible.
Okay, Julia.
Could you repeat the question once again? Sorry.
Oh, we talked about nomad. We talked about the question from the audience was like, is it possible to create this kind of lifestyle for yourself, or you have to have your own company, or is it possible when you're working for someone else? What is your experience?
I would say that it's that both. That right now, also thanks to COVID, you can find plenty of full-time job opportunities which allow you to work remotely, especially like related to marketing, to be a developer, app developer, or related to finances. But if you feel confident, you can also try your own freelancing. There are plenty of freelancing platforms like Fiverr, where first of all you can start with like small charges for your clients and customers, but then once you get more and more experience and get better reviews, you can just increase the price for your services, which is great, because at the same time, while you do a freelance, you can work on Fiverr or other apps like that. You can at the same time work on your own business in your own country or anywhere else. So also thanks to COVID, it just gives you this bigger and better opportunity to find more and more remote work. As Kamil said, probably if you're a trade worker, then it would be kind of hard to find a remote work.
Okay, we have another interesting question from the audience. We have someone absolutely passionate about Asia, I guess, but I think that this is something that I could see myself in as well. Like, so when you travel to these amazing places and you're fascinated by them, and there's amazing food and other things, how do you motivate yourself to work at all? Julian.
Yeah, so luckily we have weekends. So usually I try to work and spend my time on work from Monday to Friday. And then like on a Saturday and Sunday, I just try to explore the local food places, or in the evenings, I try to attend the meetups. It's also about being like focused and to know how to set the boundaries, because like the first few weeks were kind of difficult for me, because I wanted to be this massive explorer of Singapore or Australia, but at the same time I needed to remember that at the back of my mind that I have to work. So but during those first weeks, I was able to learn a little bit more about self-discipline, and I knew and realized that okay, I'm in this place not just for a week or two. I'm going to spend there another couple of months or years. So those things will not run away, but and I will have time to see them and explore them. But right now, I need to just set some priorities. So this is how it worked for me.
Ada?
Yeah, well, so it all depends on, like how you plan your travel and work. Like, for example, for me, if I stay somewhere longer than a few weeks, than a month, it's easier. Like I love to work from the co-working spaces, and it really motivates me. So it's not sponsored. I used to have Regus, but the offices are everywhere around the world, and you can just log in the app and book a desk, and you just go there. And like I book a desk, and like, okay, I booked it, I need to go over and spend there and at least few hours. So that's just one thing that really helps me. And another thing is like, you really have these customers or your boss or somebody waiting for you to deliver the project, to deliver your work. So you really must do it. You must organize your time. The good thing is that you're your own boss in terms of like when you want to work. For example, I usually, when I travel like intensively, I work in the morning a little bit, then I explore during the day, then again I work in the evening. But this is what Kamil was talking about, it's really exhausting. So you can you can do it for a certain amount of time, and then you're really tired and you're not enjoying your work, and you're not good at your work, and you're not enjoying your travel. So here you need to decide, like for me, for example, you have more intense times when I know that, for 3 weeks I want to explore this place, but I need to work. So I'm really, like I'm not sleeping almost at all, but I'm very happy with that, what I'm doing. But then like I know that, okay, so now I'm staying here for longer, so I can focus more on my work and like organize your surrounding, go to the coffee shops, with a good environment to work, go to the co-working spaces. This is what helps me.
And Kamil, how was this for you? Motivating yourself to work, or like finding time to work while traveling with your family?
Well, it was extremely hard, but possible. I mean, it's all. I would say it's the matter of managing your own energy and knowing your energy levels and knowing yourself a little, and not putting yourself in a situation that you know that you will struggle. For instance, I thought maybe about working on Bali when I was surfing, and it was absolutely, it proved to be impossible because I had no energy I just had energy to chill. So after like being killed by all the waves and stuff. So, when you put yourself in a situation of vacation or intense sports or whatever, something like that, you have to be actually ready to, if you want to work, you have to expand lots of energy. And if your work is, let's say, a bit mundane, you have to continue a project that you're working on. It can be really, really tough, because sometimes when you are in a new place, you have like Ada said, you have high energy. You can spread yourself a little and sleep a little less and do some more stuff, but it's not sustainable in the long term. So you just have to, let's say, adjust yourself to the situation, and the situation to your needs, basically.
Okay, everyone. So we have like plan ahead, motivation, setting time and space to be productive and kind of adapt to this situation, your own energy. Very nice insights. I wanted to chat a little bit more about businesses. So where are your businesses, if you have, like, even if it's freelance business or other businesses, where are they based? And did you have any like more technical or business related challenges to have your business somewhere, then travel, or and make it all work? So maybe let's start with Kamil, who was just talking.
Well, my business, the source of my business was mostly based in Poland. Well, not only. I mean, the network was from Poland, but it wasn't actually. Well, now that I recollect, it wasn't mostly based in Poland, but you know, it was stemming from Poland, let's say. So so it was that, and I think I've forgotten the question at the beginning.
Did you meet any challenges about like legally having, for example, or having the business in Poland or somewhere in Europe and then traveling somewhere else? From a more practical point of view than just like lifestyle.
Not really. Well, sorry for such a short answer, but
that's a good answer, everyone.
No, it was just, you know, it was just
no challenges.
Doing what I did for Polish clients or clients in different countries. I didn't really have to set up in these countries, yes, because it was mostly consulting or graphic design or stuff like that, just to have a project and to finance the you know the travel. So so I didn't have any struggle in terms of legal. Yeah.
Let's go to Ada. Where is your company based?
So right now my company is based in Barcelona, and everything is registered here. Though I'm also thinking about registering another company in Poland for many reasons. It's a good hub for startups, and you know I find it a bit difficult. I find a lot of difficulties with dealing with Spanish authorities. It's also the language. I don't speak Spanish yet, not on that level, you know, to deal with the business here. And like I didn't have that problem in Australia, and I didn't have that problem in Thailand. I just find it here. But I think that like if you're in Europe, it's quite easy. Whenever you go outside of Europe, it's getting more complicated, but it all depends on the place. But yeah, this is it's not so challenging as you may think. I mean, once you have established business and it's on and running, and you figure out, you know, how to do everything, you have a good advisors and accountants, everything works well.
Okay, Julian.
Yeah, same as Ada and Camila. I didn't have any problems with establishing my business. Currently, my business is in establishing Australia, but I'm planning to open it here in Singapore or in Malaysia. And to open my business in Australia, it took me like less than an hour. All I had to do is just fill in a special application form online, and once I got my confirmation, I could offer my services legally in the country. Plus, in case of any taxes, it's also very nice and clear. And whenever I receive a letter from the government, I'm not afraid that it may be some strange fine which I have to pay, or just that I forgot about something. I just have to fill in the tax application online once a year. And what's even more amazing, that Australia knows that small business owners are like backbone of their economy, so they offer plenty of support and solutions for small business owners, starting from like special trainings, offering special grants and financing. So this is amazing.
Okay. And the last question in this section, we wanted to talk a little bit about the last year and the surprises it brought. So how did COVID and the entire situation impacted your businesses and your nomad plans? Let's start with Ada, maybe.
Okay, so let's start with the nomad plan. So I'm still pretty happy. Like I managed to travel quite a lot, maybe not as much as in the past years, but still, like I think if you really want, you're not scared, you're ready to take a risk. Also, you know, being a digital nomad gives you that advantage that you can go somewhere, and if I'm stuck, you know, for longer than I planned, it's fine because I have my computer. I don't need to go back to work, to go back to office. My office is here. So I'm really like, I'm not afraid to travel, even though of the regulations of you know, all this changing things around. But in terms of the business, so I started my company, which is, you know, we're promoting film locations worldwide. And right now, nobody is traveling around to film. So unfortunately, this business slowed down significantly, I would say. But because I really differentiate my source of income, I'm also working as a freelancer on the development of TV shows, of movies. Like I managed to cover the gap and just focus more on what is works more at the current time. So that's another thing. But yeah, COVID really affected my company. But yeah, I hope that this year everything will be coming back to normal, and it didn't really affect my lifestyle and my income, because I just refocused.
Okay, great. Julian?
Yes, the same as in case of Ada, I had problems with my working hours during the COVID in the beginning, but at the same time, I decided that I'll learn just more valuable skills just to be able to offer more services, and at the same time to just learn some helpful and lifelong skills and fight with COVID. I just bought myself a sewing machine and some fabrics, and I started to sew face masks, and I created my own website where I started to sell face masks in Australia, just to be able to a little bit spend the time on doing something else in work and learning new things. But after like 2 or 3 months since the COVID started, I was able to go back on the track with my original job and with new tasks and new clients.
Okay, and Kamil, apart from being in Poland right now, how did COVID change your plans?
Well, it was kind of dramatic because on March last year, yes, last year, I traveled from the beginning of March, I guess, from Tarifa in Spain, where we lived for a while, and we wanted to continue. But I traveled to, let's say, launch a different take on my career, quite a big project. Completely different than from what I did before, so I was really excited to launch it, start it, and and it was perfectly adjusted to my lifestyle and what we wanted to do, and it all went bollocks because of COVID. So because of the uncertainty, because of shutting down, it was connected to sports outlets, so most of the sports outlets were closed, and basically we had to postpone. We had to postpone until things are more certain. And only recently we learned that things will not really be more certain. I mean, we have to embrace chaos again and understand that the uncertainty is actually something that is certain. So we are coming back to that in a completely different perspective. And in the meantime, I had to basically do stuff that I did at the beginning of my career, which was like organizing events and doing stuff like that, which was kind of cool actually for me. So I could be more hands-on and while it was an experience I've had opportunity to do lots of really early in my career. The topic was completely different and connected to awesome people, so it all went really well and was quite interesting anyway.
Okay, but I understand that in the meantime you traveled from Spain to Poland, and this is where you are now. So did you have any other travel plans that changed because of COVID?
Well, loads of adventures. My whole family with another family. We were living on a Estrecho. It's a Estrecho de Gibraltar in Spain, and there were basically we were separated. I got stuck in Poland. They got stuck there. Let's say they got stuck in paradise. That was the fortunate thing. But we were separated. It was impossible to actually join them. It was quite stressful because Spanish authorities were very, very strict in terms of COVID rules, and especially the village authorities around Tarifa and the vicinity of Gibraltar were really strict. So it was very stressful for the kids and for the families to actually go shopping or whatever. They were checked really often by Guardia Civil and other authorities. So it was quite stressful for them. It was stressful for me that they are stressed, and it was quite also stressful that we were separated. And we just and Spain was closed. Yes? So actually, what I did was I bought a car because I flew here, so and flights were done, cancelled. So I bought a very old car, and me and my partner, I mean business partner, we took it to Spain. And 3 times we couldn't enter Spain until we produced documents that were let's say acknowledged by the by the border authorities, so we could enter. So it was a very special kind of adventure, like from the movies a bit.
Like from the movies. So yeah, I think the COVID impacted us all a lot, and when you lead nomad lifestyle, it's probably even more maybe challenging, or there are situations like camels where you get stuck somewhere. We approach the third and last part about of our conversation today, and let's talk a little bit more about life hacking or hacking life and business. So the first question, and I'm going to direct it straight to Kamil because I'm very, very curious. Our first question was about like if you had a difficulty in your nomad lifestyle, and how did you manage or eliminate it? And I'm very curious to hear about your story about the school in Portugal.
Yeah, it's also connected to like problems, legal problems, because Portugal is not an easy place to do business if it's not digital, and education is also a topic. It's very regulated and governed in most of the countries. So the story was that we were in Bali, and we learned that we have a friend we have a friend with common, let's say, interest in education and common views on education, children education, in Portugal. So we decided to pay a visit and discuss opportunities. And and then we started the project, which actually took us almost half a year. And we were really, really deep into that, developing a school project, a democratic school. It was a free school, and in Portugal, on the land, which was supposed to be a community of people from all over the world. So the school was supposed to be for the community. But after half a year of, let's say, legal struggles and I would say completely different business, let's say, approaches, or I don't know, different time zones or realities, we decided to just let it go because it was impossible to continue, because it was too slow. The progress was too slow, and we just couldn't invest our time and effort anymore into that. So it failed basically. But I almost know how to establish a school in Portugal. That's the big thing.
Almost. But was it related in anyhow with schooling for your kids, or it was a separate project?
It is, of course, related. It's because let's say schooling, to be precise, unschooling is our passion in terms of education and whatnot. We from the very beginning of our children, I mean, from the first child, she's 9 today. I mean, she's 9 now. We decided that we don't really want to send them to the classic, let's say, school. So, and we found out a thing that is called Summerhill in England. It's a purely democratic project. I don't know if you know. It's a long story. Basically, to cut it short, it's not a school. It's a place where you unschool actually. So you follow basically the will to explore the world in a child, and you give some opportunities to them and listen to them, and they basically teach themselves most of the time. And it's getting actually more and more popular in Poland, and it's popular in many countries. But back 10 years ago, it wasn't so. So we obviously homeschool our kids. They now, when we travel, they don't attend any let's say school in a, let's say, as we actually understand it as school. So so the whole Portugal project was connected to let's say, stemming from an idea that we could be a part of a community in Portugal, like a cohabitat, and also provide a great place for children to strive and to thrive and to let's say develop themselves as little humans.
So I have a follow-up question just about this kids topic. With all the other like travel planning and working to have some income and homeschooling, how do you manage this in terms of time management?
We don't basically manage this. I mean, it's all a mess. It's impossible to actually plan it and manage it in a way we understand managing and planning. It's just, it's just making boundaries, trying to find time here and there. Obviously, when we, it's mostly also, you have to be really effective in terms of work, and in terms of time you take for work, but also on the other hand, it's possible because we can decide that today we spend time for work or for this or that, but on the same time it puts more pressure on the second half of the grown-ups, let's say, in the team. So when I need to work, my partner is like all over with the kids, and the other way around too. So it gives you opportunity on one hand, but on the other, it's mostly understanding that, as I said before, planning is futile. I mean, maybe not futile completely, but you have to understand that it's like 20% of what you planned is actually gonna happen.
Okay, great. So just a global question, maybe Ada, if you want, is how your nomad lifestyle impacted, for example, your personal life or your family life, or maybe if you have a partner, did it impact the relationship? Are there nomads as well? Was it easy to kind of convince them to this kind of lifestyle? How is this for you?
Yes, I think it is challenging if your partner is not a nomad, if his work is local somewhere. You can go around, it all depends on your relationship. I mean, for me, that's why, like, I'm kind of based right now in Barcelona, and I have my stable hub here because my partner is here, and I travel here and there, 1 month here, 1 month there, and I always come back, and we always try to go around, but I would say it is challenging, and we need to find a way that works for everybody. With my family, for example, I love to travel with my mom. I think we spend 1 month a year traveling together, and it really like makes it's really bonding. Like, it's better for me. Like, I don't want to go to Poland too often, and she just joins me. Like, when I lived in Thailand, every half a year she was visiting. It was also something exciting for her. So even with your family, I mean, you can encourage them to travel more and to join you on your journey.
Okay, and Julian, what about you?
Yeah, so in case of me and my partner, she works like in the movie industry, so she's also like nomad, but not a digital one. So we agreed that once we reunite, we will be able to travel together. So like for probably the first year or two, we'll just spend here in Southeast Asia, and after that, we'll just try to explore new continents while we were working digitally, and she will try to get some movie jobs in other countries.
Okay, great. So everyone, we are approaching the last question in this first section, and it's a little bit more global about traveling. So travel may be a huge inspiration, and I see you all inspired and motivated by your experiences. So which travel has inspired you the most? Ada?
Okay, so I think like few years ago it was a travel. I think it's really worth mentioning. So I was between Australia and Barcelona. I was thinking that I am a kind of between the jobs and moving the continent. It's a really good time for me to take few weeks, few months, a longer time to just to travel. But then like I'm used to travel and work, so I was like, no, I cannot just be traveling for a few months, not doing anything. So I thought that I want to make it more meaningful, and I created a web show that I wanted to shoot in all different, the most exotic, unusual places in the world, where I was interviewing the producers in each place about shooting, about the filming standards, about the rules, etc. And okay, so I had a plan. I'm gonna travel to as many countries as possible between Sydney and Barcelona. I made a plan. I found the tickets. I was like, okay, but actually I'm gonna shoot it. Maybe I can find somebody who can pay for it. And I asked the company from Thailand that I work for, hey, do you want to cover some costs? And it will be also your web show. We were like, yes, cool, travel for us and film that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. The problem was I'm not a cameraman. I'm a producer. I work on a film set, but I never before shoot anything. So at the end of the day, I had to buy a camera and learn how to use it. But I made it. And to make it even more meaningful, I decided that I will be using couchsurfing to sleep at. I don't know if everybody is familiar with couchsurfing. It's a kind of a platform where you find people in different places where you can that offer the bed, the room. You don't pay for sleeping at their place. So I decided to do that. I traveled for 8 weeks through the Pacific Islands, Central America, the US, filming my web show, and like during the trip, I met the most amazing people who really so eagerly shown me the countries. I made new friends, both on the professional level when shooting a video and on the personal level when sleeping and doing the couch surfing. And to make the long story short, I finished the trip after 8 weeks. It was the most amazing time of my life. I produced, shot, edited this web series that was later on sent to many organizations, film organizations around the world. What really led to me making new connections and be inspired to start Destinations Raising, my company that I work on right now. So I pretty much met my partners through after making these videos because I made it. So not only like I made new friends, I met people from all around the world. Also, our first customer became Cook Islands government, the place where I shot the first episode of the show. So like you never know how your travel can affect your work later on and what new opportunities you may grab. You just need to be really open to other people and just accept whatever is coming. And also come out with your ideas. And come out with your ideas and not be afraid to do it.
Yeah, so a takeaway, dear viewers, once again, is to make it a project and make other people finance it, and this way develop your personal and professional plans. This is a very, very nice story. How about you, Julian?
Yeah, so once again, all over again, it will be Australia. And during those 3 years, I had a chance to meet plenty of amazing people. And during my first year, which I was able to realized that Europe is just not the center of the world, that like there are other countries and continents which have also a lot to offer. And I was a student there, and together with other students, we decided to organize, to create a website or a news portal for international students in Australia. We already like built an entire design and got graphic designers who volunteered with us, and we started to write articles. And this was like also one of the things which I'm grateful for, that I was able to meet their new people and learn a little bit about entrepreneurship, and to open myself to for the new ideas.
Another great experience. Camille?
Well, I think that the most inspiring travel is always, or destination is always the last one for me, because I'm really like in the trying to be in the present, and you know, it's really lots of stuff is going on, let's say every day in my life. So I don't really stick to things that passed, but I would say that the most inspiring, the most inspiring, let's say, location or time recently I had in Sweden, and it was just a little bit above Uppsala, in a very small community, very green community. It was in August, I think. Yes, it was August. So the days were really long, lots of lights. And we actually did not do any projects for a month. We didn't do anything besides just riding bikes and traveling around the vicinity, not even big traveling projects. And I would say for my creativity and my like inspiration for the future, it was actually the best thing. So it wasn't like energizing me or like going on really highs for I don't know, projects or success. It was more like recovery and gaining strengths and gaining let's say creative energy to do some more or some other stuff in the future. So
That's great. So guys, do a nice project, but at the same time, take some time off to recharge your batteries and then get some more creativity spinning. Okay, guys, so we're approaching to the end of this webinar, and we have a few rapid fire questions. So the idea is we ask the question and you give like a very short 1-2 sentences of an answer, so we can do a quick round and wrap up this meeting in a few minutes. So the first one, a mistake or event you wish you avoided. Julian.
So maybe that I try to get everything on paper. Like once I had like a customer client which tried to postpone the payment and entire process. So it's like much more business advice. So just thanks to this, I have the entire contract with him. I was able to finally be rewarded for the project I completed for him, but it was in Australia, so I didn't know how the local law works. So maybe also beside of trying to get things on paper, to be much more familiar how the local law works, to be able to feel much more confident in case of business relations and running a company in a different country.
That's important. Okay, Camille?
It's really hard. I don't have, you know, thoughts like that. But what I maybe regret just a little is staying too long in London without my family and trying to find some work amidst Brexit. So it was really hard. And I would say that the last month I've been in London was a struggle to actually understand the context of Brexit and how it impacts like job opportunities there. And I could just go to Poland and unite with my family.
Ada?
Well, so I think that actually each mistake or a failure was a lesson that helped me to redefine my goals or the strategy. And even if somebody told me don't do it, I would need to do it anyway, because I always learn on my own mistakes. So I think it's unavoidable to avoid the mistakes, actually. And they are helpful, they're really helpful.
Okay, so do your mistakes, guys, but make them small so you can learn something but not get too hurt. I think this is the advice. And advice to people who would want to start a nomadic lifestyle. Kamil.
Just do it. You just have to. You don't wait too long for perfect time to start. You just have to start and then see how to sustain it.
Okay, Ada.
Yeah, I think I agree. Start today, start building your business or a customer database or your skills today during, once you have a regular job, and this way you will avoid throwing yourself at the deep end, and you can, have a smooth transition into the nomadic lifestyle.
Julian?
Yes, same what Ada and Camille said, plus maybe invest in a good health insurance, especially if you want to be a nomad outside of the European Union. And because, for example, during my first year of being out of Europe, I ended up at the hospital because of the winters in Australia. And when they presented me the bill, it was kind of impressive one. Luckily, I had an insurance which covered most of it, but without it, it could be kind of hard. Plus, yeah, be open-minded. Try to attend maybe local meetups when you are somewhere already when you already travel. So thanks to this, beside of networking, you'll be able to learn new interesting things.
That's great. And just to wrap up, your next plans for business and life in general, or travels?
Maybe I should start. Okay.
Julian, go for it.
Okay, sorry. So my next plan for sure is to move to Malaysia to reunite with my partner and establish a business there. There are like plenty of marketing opportunities also among small business owners who don't know how to create their website or how to run a proper digital strategy. And at the same time, I'm planning once the business picks up to open a bar with Central European and Polish food and drinks.
That's interesting. Ada?
Well, I have a kind of like, my goal for this year is to start delegating more, so I can be able to travel to more destinations with a poor internet connection, more wild traveling without stressing out about the things that are not getting done. Because, having your business and freelancing are two things that you really need time to do it. And it's great that we can do it traveling. But I noticed that I started losing my interest in travel because I'm stressing out too much about having things done. So that's really my goal, to be able to travel to more places and be able to put the work on the side for a bit.
Okay, Camille?
This year I hope to launch a new project I've got financing for just recently. This project is based on launching 3 to 4 different extreme sports outlets throughout Poland and abroad. It's a crazy thing, but it matches my lifestyle and what we want to do with my family. So let's hope it's going to happen.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing with us your plans. We wish you all the best and cross fingers for you this year. We hope that COVID will not interrupt it too much and we'll all get back to normal. So this is it for today and for this webinar. Thank you for attending. Thank you, Ada, Camille, and Julian for being our speakers. And thank you for you guys. We had quite a big audience today, so thank you guys for attending. I really hope you liked it. And see you soon for another webinar. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.